I have got 3 of the UK national champions, all of them accounted for once. They're not picking pumpkins. We've got 2021 winner Matthew Foulkes, 2022 winner George Roger, and last year's 2023 Alex Chitu. Guys, how are you all doing? Let's start with you, Matt.
I'm very good, very good. Been preparing for like a couple of weeks for nationals now, and I just want it to happen. Like, I'm really excited for US nationals to kick off, because then it's like that last week is like a cramming session where like
yeah,
any new parts of the meta that get revealed will be there, and then we're all just fucking going crazy trying to finish our last minute prep for the tournament.
Yeah. What about you, George?
Yeah. So normally, because we have to go first in the nationals late line, so normally we're the ones who sort of pioneer how the meta's going to look. It's going to be nice now to see like how the meta's sort of fixed for Nats, for the US Nats, and then develop our decks from there. So same as Matt's, like, just excited to just try out all the tech that we've got and see how it flows.
Yeah. And you, Alex?
Yeah, as the others have said, I'm really excited how the CC meta is gonna evolve. But at the same time, me and my team are really looking forward to the draft because I think this is a really, really complex draft format. So we're gonna have a lot of differentiation there.
Yeah. So if anyone is new to the game and they're actually just coming into this season for the first time, we do at most of the countries, apart from the US, I think they have like 2 more rounds of CC over everyone over the course of their thing. But you've got to do 6 rounds of CC and 6 rounds of draft. Maybe even like smaller countries have a little bit less rounds than that. But draft is an extremely important part of the process. So you can't, as much as you want to take your CC deck and do very, very well with it, you cannot get into that top 8 without some good draft practice in, right? So Alex, how is the draft in this format? Because I know we've done Tales of Aria, and then it was then Uprising, then it was Monarch, wildly, as the free draft formats for Nats. How excited for you for part the misfail for a national season? Is this like the first one where you're like, oh, this is sick?
Yeah, I'm really excited for it because it really feels like we're returning a bit to a sort of fixed Uprising.
Yeah,
I would say. So Uprising had the same sort of feel with the same sort of classes. The problem was that maybe it was a little bit unbalanced. Back then, I was still looking for quite an open strategy in actually drafting it. But now, being able to draft all the heroes and all of the heroes being quite good in this format, I think is very important.
Yeah. Okay. George, have you been doing much drafting?
I have. Normally I sort of wing the draft a little bit and then just hope I can scrape through, but I've actually put the time in this time because, like Alex said, it's complex. So, yeah, I'm not as open, I think, as Alex. I'm going to lock into 2 heroes and like really master 2 heroes and then sort of leave the other one to the side. But yeah, it's been working well for me so far in testing.
Fair enough. And then Matt, I remember back then in the 2021, me and you played each other. You were slamming that Lexi deck because you knew full well no one is going to be playing Lexi. Is this a strategy that could be taken on in this set that no one's going to play?
I think like Flesh and Blood drafting has come a long way since where we were in 2021.
Yeah,
like a lot of the player base back then, like basically everyone that didn't come from Magic didn't have a lot of competitive drafting experience, just because like competitive limited isn't like a massive part of other games. So like, I think like, especially Mists, like Mists is the best draft format I think we've seen. Maybe Outsiders is a close discussion as well.
Yeah,
but like, it's like one of the first formats where like there's legitimate times you actually do need to stay open, you do need to be maneuverable. Like, they seem to have found like a pretty good medium with like all the like the Mystic Blues that like you can functionally stay open for a decent amount of picks without committing early, and like the generics are all really solid, so you don't actually have to just say, all right, here's a red common of my set, ship it, send it. Like, one of the weaknesses of Outsiders, I guess, like one of the main weaknesses was that like you do actually and Bright Lights even more so actually, was that like quite often it will go to fatigue, which like looks like a good thing in practice because it's like, oh, we're playing these long grindy games, but actually it's like, oh, I've got 38 cards, you've only got 32.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so like the 30 card limit's actually, I think, a big win out of this set.
Yeah. I was going to say that whenever I see like a ninja coming into a draft set, it generally just makes me, and I'm not a pro player sort of guy. I sort of look at every time a ninja shows up into a set though and be like, oh, it's just going to be, you always get the one simple aggro hero deck, like, you know, ninja, KO, whatever. And then you got like the sort of slowy, controlling more type one. And then you got the funky one, right? The one that's just like, I guess you're doing things. Don't know how it's going to work, i.e. maybe the Azalea of Outsiders, the Icelander of Uprising. Does this set have to kind of smooth that out a little bit? Is there just a genuine consistency to all of this, Matt?
I think, like, you're spot on again. Like that does apply perfectly to Mists, where like obviously you have Zen, straightforward, pick as many red aggressive cards as you can, try and run your opponent over with a good, consistent, powerful weapon. And you've got Enigma who's doing those like powerful controlling things where you try and set the board and overrun your opponent. And then you've got Nu who is, you know,
bit funky
on a different axis.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly lower value than your opponent, but if you can find a big transcend with a hero power, then you know you can go from like 5 damage behind. I had my opponent deal like 28 damage to me on a transcend turn where they just played like 3 of my attacks from my banish, and I was like, oh yeah, probably shouldn't have put Levels of Enlightenment in my draft deck versus Nu. And like, so it's, you know, there's a lot. Now, Nu is, I think, generally accepted or thought to be. Maybe I say accepted. That's way too arrogant of a statement. Thought to be, kind of slightly behind the ball. But like, if you find the right cards and you find, you know, the right deck composition, I definitely think all the heroes are playable.
Yeah. Alex, what's your thoughts on Nu? Because I kind of see Zen. Like, I don't know if Zen needs a lot of discussion around like. Is it someone that you should sort of lean into in draft? Because I think when you kind of look at it, you go, yeah, throw numbers, go again. This feels good, right? And Enigma does have... I sometimes think Enigma is like weird, but for some reason the community just went, oh, Nu is just wild to draft. It's like so hard. Why do you think the community thinks that?
I think it's multiple things. But one of them, first of all, is in my experience, people do like to draft Nu, so she ends up being a bit overdrafted in most pods I've seen. So just because of that, any hero in this format that ends up overdrafted will have a weaker deck just by virtue of the fact that reds are very constrained. So if you're not ending up with the reds, you're not gonna be able to have like a powerful deck. But any 2 of hero, Nu included, will have a very, very strong deck. And I've seen this. Yes, she can be underrated sometimes with some of her cards. Some of her cards are quite overrated. Like if you look at, for example, Double Trouble, or even some of the stealth cards. Like if in the right circumstances, they can be overrated. Like if you can be pretty certain that you're banishing a card that will gain you life with, for example, Desires of Flesh, or with the some of the Majestics that she has. Obviously, you cannot really rely on that, but still. And you can have different plans. So you can have the just kill you plan by trying to present sort of the same rate as your opponent and then getting over the top with the reaction, or playing for the long game, trying to banish as many cards as possible and then ending the game with a big transcend.
So, George, you're feeling 2 heroes only and leaving one out. Do you think that is a solid plan going into nationals?
I think after doing quite a few drafts, you're never going to be forced into a specific hero in your seat. You're going to be forced into one of... There'll probably be like one which is just like completely optimal, and then there'll be one which is absolutely unplayable, and then one which is fine. So just because I need to narrow how I play the decks and build the decks, I want to have a really great understanding. I don't even have the time to learn all three, so I've just sort of focused in on 2 heroes specifically. And I found that's worked pretty well for being able to really understand how the draft, because everyone said it's a very complex draft. So really learning the extra minuscule detail on how you draft each of the heroes really adds a lot of value to your draft pool and also how you play the deck.
Yeah,
because there's so many ratios to balance out for the heroes.
Is this complexity quite nerve-wracking as a competitive player going into national season?
It's probably the opposite, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
No, I'd rather it be difficult than like Nationals 22 felt like a bit of like I think we actually I think Nationals 22 was the hardest draft field ever in Flesh and Blood. I think that because we in the UK community had correctly assessed how hard you should have been forcing fire in that format.
Yeah.
And like in every other tournament I played, like there were all these Americans that thought you could draft other decks. And so it was like someone had to do other stuff, right? But if you had 5 Americans in your pod who were happy just to draft other decks, you were like, cool, I'll just still be one of 3 5s, and you can mess around trying to work out what the open hero is, and I'll just have a good 5 deck, and that's cool. Like
Leal draft was so much easier than Nat's draft.
yeah. Like I honestly think that Nat's draft was like when you had these pods which were like 4.5, 5 5s, like. That's actually where you wanted to be. Like, I played Alex. I'm pretty sure I did play Alex at that Nationals. Yeah, you were the only Dromai in our pod.
No, I was also
I don't remember if it was 2 Dromais or 1 Drom. I think it was 2 Dromais, 1 Icelander, and 5 5s.
Yeah, that was it.
No, sorry, Jacob was on Icelander, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was very funny that pod. I was playing Dromai as one of 2 Dromai. I had exactly 30 playables because everyone was stealing all the Draconic cards.
Yeah. I remember in the last round of the draft, I round the corner to where we were playing, and I'm either playing the last of the 5 Zens, not Zens, the last of the 5 Fies, or Alex, who has a Dromai with a Flamescale Furnace in his deck.
I remember seeing you drafting in that pod, Matt, and the determination on your face, like on one of the pools you were looking at. You spent a very long time just really working out this one pick, and like I have no idea what you're drafting at that point. I think you were literally looking for which of these is the most playable, because like you had like a choice of one of 2 cards which were like semi-functional. Like this will be one of the best cards in my deck.
I remember, I think I had like a yellow Sigil of Protection in my deck, and it could have been one of those spots where you're like, just how terrible of a card am I about to put in my deck? I remember Dave Path specifically in that draft. He was to my left, and I'm thinking, there's no way Dave can be playing 5. He has 3 playables maximum. Like from the first pack, he can only have 3 cards in his deck. I've actually not passed him any more cards than that, like 3 or 4, and then I go to pack 2 and like it dries up insanely quickly, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm doomed. I'm on the train and I can't get off.
Alex, can this Mysteria expansion get a train wreck moment? Like, well, as we were just listening to this, like, everyone's like, oh, I've got to jump on this, or can it all go horribly wrong?
Oh yeah, I think in this format, it is not gonna go horribly wrong in the same way, but as Uprising, but it can happen a lot. I've had decks which were like 25 blues or something like that. Like if you have and sometimes you have 25 blue decks that are playable, which is very strange. But yeah, you can definitely have train wrecks. I've seen it.
Okay.
It's not good.
Okay, I'll end this draft set in the terms of Enigma, right? For draft is having an illusionist in that's just throwing down loads of wards. Is Enigma actually a hero that is genuinely like a really good spot to sort of try and position and play in? From looking at Uprising when you're trying to craft a Dromai deck, and I know that Fi was kind of like a really big reason why it was kind of ropey a little bit, but in this set, is Enigma kind of legitimately like, this is very good, if there's not many people on it approach, George?
Yeah, so Enigma is usually what I'd say is the most underdrafted of the heroes because people don't really understand what they should be drafting in her, and then they start drafting her wrong, probably do poorly in testing, and it's like, I don't want to touch Enigma anymore. And it ends up being usually the two of just for that reason. But I think Enigma is extremely powerful, and has so much agency in the games because of how you actually interact, how you hold your board state and pass your board state up, and how you recover, and then how many attacks you end up running. It's like it's just a very very good tempo orientated hero in the format, and yeah, I like it a lot.
Don't be afraid, Matt. Your thoughts on Enigma? Is Zen a real problem? Is that a reason why you're like, oh man, Zen's popular?
That's my most. I've drafted Enigma most out of all the heroes.
Yeah.
When I that's when Pete Ward topped the world premiere in Tokyo. He was just forcing. He was forcing Enigma in the draft.
Yeah.
He was like, people will just force Ninja. Like, they'll just force the decks that attack because this thing is non-linear, not straight up. It's difficult, a bit more convoluted to interact with and play with if you aren't experienced. So I certainly think that, at least for open, I think Michael Fay might have been doing the same thing. The premiere, where especially in pods where people are less experienced, they're going to shy away from an illusionist because it seems maybe a bit intimidating to. I'm not playing attacks. I'm just going to play these permanents and defend my board and hold on and grind out. And that actually what they've managed to do is create an illusionist that is really it's got really. If you get the right cards, if you're getting the good reds, he plays really really solidly on rate. But the trap of Enigma, the danger of Enigma is the fall off between playing a red aura and a yellow aura is horrific.
Yeah.
Because when your power is based on your ward, the difference between a yellow and a red is now your card is worth 2 less value because it attacks for 1 less and it blocks for 1 less. So if you do end up in a 3 Enigma pod, it can be
pretty doomed.
It can go south quite quick.
Okay. Any final thoughts, Alex, on Enigma in draft?
Yeah, so if you compare with how Dromai was looking in Uprising draft, Dromai needed quite a bit to set up in order to be dealing a lot of damage, whereas Enigma can be presenting very great rates just from the beginning, and then also be blocking very well, right? So yeah, I think in this format she's very strong. I think you do need a certain kind of deck. You need to understand how to draft it properly, and I think as the others have said, basically that can be intimidating to some people if you don't understand. There can be some edge gained there if you want to be underdrafted. One thing that I think is important for Enigma, some things that are important. First of all, equipment, specifically equipment that blocks, is very important because you need to be able to protect your auras, because Enigma, the amount of value you get out of your auras is exponential if you, or not exponential, I don't know the word, but basically it stacks up the more you get to keep them around, and it gets to crazy value. So just the better your deck blocks, the better you are able to protect your auras. You do need auras. You need auras with Go Again, or that can be played as instants. It's very important because that's the best way you can actually extract value when you play the auras. Because otherwise, if you play auras and then they get immediately destroyed, that's actually not so good value from your auras. So you do need to be underdrafted in order to have a good deck, because people will be fighting over these auras with Go Again and instant auras.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Right, let's move over to the CC side of things now. So that's draft. CC, another space where I think a lot of people are going, what do we do? And maybe not you guys, don't know, we'll find out. But the community, is in a space of working out what is and what isn't, right? I watched that Battle Harden in Singapore, and I watched that 13 chain link Zen deck. Just he just looks wild, and I knew for a fact that when everyone was going, this guy looks dog, doesn't look that great. As the cards were coming out, people were going, not so sure, not so sure, and then you see that, like, Miss Fail seems to be turning up the heat, right? Especially with Zen dropping. Like, Matt, what's your thoughts on Miss Fail with CC?
I think Zen is like, I guess, public enemy number one. I was trying to explain my deck selection process to someone that doesn't play card games at all the other day.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, I've like got decks in like two camps. It's either Zen or it's something that is quite good against Zen. And then you have to try and pick what lines up into the rest of the field out of that section.
But what's happened to KO, right? But is KO just dropped off the face of the earth because of Zen?
I'm not fully off KO. I was actually playing. Me and George were battling yesterday. I was playing some KO. I won't say what he was playing. He can say that if he wants.
Yeah.
But I was playing some KO. I still think the deck's really good. Like, it's kind of crazy that like we got a bunch of new upgrades for KO. You know, we got the Sash.
Yeah.
We got the 1 for 5.
Yeah.
Those are both big upgrades. Like, that's a good. Like, the 1 for 5 is a great blue. I took a turn yesterday where I'd sashed and I was like, here's a 0 for 7 because I had blood rushed, and then they just played the 1 for 5 blue.
Yeah.
Run roughshod, I think it's called.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that one.
And I was just like 0 for 7. That's quite good, isn't it? That's quite an all right rate. 0 for 7.
Yeah.
And you got Sash as well, and like I remember the talk when like we were looking at Sash was like, oh my god, KO is going to be gone by the Pro Tour, like it'll never make it through national season. And now,
well, a whole new set just dropped.
Like, yeah. But like, even this was even after the sport. A lot of the spoilers have come out.
True.
People were like, we'll never have it for Amsterdam. We should plan not to have it. But like,
I still think there's a good chance he doesn't make it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great deck still. It's not the boogeyman of the format right now.
Yeah.
And so like you kind of are positioned. I think we're in a state of the format where like you probably are either Zen or something that's quite good into Zen. Those are the like main pillars, I think.
Yeah. Okay. George, I know when Matt says he's playing a deck, and I'll let him explain. Zen. Yeah, I knew it was Zen.
Ninja.
Of course, you're playing Ninja.
I love Ninja. I love sequencing, and I love all those parts of Flesh and Blood. They're my favorite bits. So that and pitch stacking, but pitch stacking is kind of dead at the moment.
Yeah. So Zen, go on. Like, is he just that strong? Surely he's just like he's got some major vulnerabilities, right? For someone that just needs to link up things.
He's got some vulnerability. I won't say he has any major vulnerabilities, which is what makes him so strong. He has weaknesses that you can target, but he's still going to win against decks which should be beating him because of the like you say you saw in the Battle Hardened where he did like a 13 Chain-Link turn. There's no setup involved in that. It just happens.
Yeah.
You know, any deck misses a turn on him, you go, oh, unlucky. That's the turn that I could go off, and you die.
Yeah. But he didn't win the Battle Hardened though, did he? Because you saw like the polar opposite end of what happened to him. He just looked like he absolutely flatlined against that Dash player. It just didn't look.
Yeah, he drew no power cards, and you lose those games, unfortunately.
Is it just at the mercy of the draw?
It says in an aggro mirror, which is what they were playing at the end. The Dash, I believe, drew 2 power cards in the Max V and the High Octane, and the Zen drew 0.
Yeah.
And I think the Dash was a higher seed, so got to choose to go the correct order as well. So they basically got all the things went their way. So, and that is an aggro mirror in Flesh and Blood, whereas someone draws power and everyone doesn't, you lose.
Yeah.
In a best of 1 format, that happens.
That's fair. Alex, are you worried about Zen? As the Dash player now, you were the Visceride player. We connected, right? Now you Dash.
Yeah.
Now it's Zen. Is it?
Yeah, but to be fair, I never really try to beat the meta. I just play what I like. And,
I know. Yeah.
And because last night I was playing Briar, and Briar was not favor versus Lexi. Like it made no sense to play Briar, but I like Briar, so I play Briar.
Fair enough. Give us your thoughts on Zen.
I think he's very strong. I tried him a bit myself, and just the consistency is very high for the sort of usually high ceiling decks are usually quite inconsistent, but this is a somewhat consistent deck that also has a huge ceiling, so that you really want something like that from your aggro decks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he does terrify me. Doesn't Azalea? I'm hearing like Azalea and Prism. Are they things that Zen just don't want to see?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of decks can sort of tech for him to middling success. I feel like
a middling success. Oh no.
And yeah, I mean, yes, you can't like. There are not any cards that any deck can put in and they say, oh, I was unfavored versus and now I'm favored. That's not how it's gonna work. But I'm expecting almost everyone that's worth their salt to be thinking about Zen and teching about Zen, even if they don't really bring a deck that's like there just to counter Zen. So that's one thing to consider with it. It might be that at other nationals people don't respect Zen as much, and they will see what happens then. But in the UK, I feel like people know. I feel like we're a bit ahead of the general meta.
Yeah.
But we're gonna see what happens in the US.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alex was saying that like he thought the UK meta was a little bit ahead, maybe because we have like quite a close knit community and among a lot of the top players. But like I guess the same is true of all the other nations. It's just that we can't maybe see those groups and those people who are like basically sandbagging what they want to play for nationals.
Yeah.
And like no one's, we haven't. There's a lot of top players who haven't been at like the admittedly very small battle hardens in the US over the last couple of weeks. I think there was a ProQuest Plus like 2 weeks ago in Dallas, I want to say, that had like 13 players, and like people are looking at that as like the relevant results of the meta. And then we had a 50-player battle hardened in Vegas this weekend. Like these are,
it's small sample size.
Even the one in the UK, right? We had a 50-player in the UK, and I mean, my deck was decided at like I think the round started at 10, and I think my deck was submitted at 9:58. There was like so many people just playing what they wanted for fun on that.
Yeah, well, yeah, you were. I mean, I was there as well. You saw me sprinting around the venue trying to find cards. Well, that's me at every tournament I play. But
I just brought a stack of cards and just sleeved them, and then quickly submitted it right at the end.
Oh, was that a UK Games Expo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People would take that as like the results to really, really pay for, and it's like people were playing for fun and they weren't really playing super competitive for that event. So you have to take what you see as a pinch of salt. Like we obviously have some Zen decks which you think are quite tuned, and when we compare it to sort of public lists that are available, they're getting closer, but there's still quite a lot of difference, and we're not going to expect we're the only ones who come up with like how to really tune the Zen deck. So there's obviously going to be these tuned Zen decks that are just not out there yet, and it's going to catch I think a lot of people by surprise if they don't have the testing community.
Okay, I'm sort of just hearing this and thinking like, a lot of people will be tuning stuff. Is there like certain heroes that a lot of players who are playing Zen just will go, nah, well, they're not relevant in the meta, right? So we don't need to worry about this. Like Guardians, for example.
Warrior.
Yeah, Guardian and Warrior, they're not relevant. Do you think
who just dropped off the face of the earth, who was both massive players last set and have just ceased to exist?
Yeah, and but this sometimes happens, right? Where one hero becomes such a big force that actually, like, none of these other heroes that could deal with Guardian and Warrior, like, they start to fall off. So they start to show up. Do you think that will happen?
I think Zen's one of the reasons they can't play at the moment.
Right.
They haven't got amazing matchups into Zen. I think Victor might publicly have an amazing matchup, but it's not. We've not seen those sort of results. So there'll be. I think we'll still see Guardians, but Warriors. I think that's even publicly pretty poor into Zen, and I just missed in general. Warriors not amazing into, and that's causing people just not want to play them.
Yeah, fair. Matt, any closing thoughts on the Zen's power level in this meta? Everyone should be worried.
I think there's totally other reasonable choices. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, you look back on US Nationals weekend, and you're like, oh, it was actually, like, looking at the field, I'd rather have played this other deck. Like I think Prism, Azalea, KO, and Enigma Nu are all like other reasonable decks that you could pick into the meta. And there's probably others I'm leaving out. But like those are all like, I wouldn't be surprised if like at the end of US Nationals you look at the meta and you're like, that was actually probably the best pick for the room.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm also not going to be surprised if I'm like, actually, no, it's just that.
Fair enough. What about Enigma? What about Enigma? The CC Enigma.
I said Enigma. That was
yeah, I know. I'm bringing this in. I'm tying this in now. Enigma is now. Needless to say, I've been collecting. Right. I think Enigma is such a cool hero, cool concept design, bro. It is rough as shit when you're playing up against like. Zen specifically, like Katsu is a bit free, in my opinion, but Zen is just wild. Where do you think, Matt, Enigma sort of fits into this role? Is she just kind of a bully, but never the top? She's not the top deck. She's just bullying people that are just below her.
It seems to have like the same position that like, and this is kind of by design of the class, that like. The way that illusionists always function on a slightly different axis than the rest of the decks, they always have these like very polarizing matchups. It seems.
Yeah.
And I think Enigma might be the least guilty of this.
Yeah.
But still is true, where like you have like you say like you're not sure, but like think about what Guardian into Prism looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like imagine I go turn 1 Genesis, turn 1. Merciful Retribution, or haze bending. Think about playing Guardian. That's what a polarizing matchup looks like. That's
Spectre.
But like the old Prism for sure. But like Enigma still does have this where it has like these matchups where you're like, well, my cards look ridiculously awful into my opponent's 1,000,000 Tigers for 1.
No, I hear you.
But you also have, you have matchups where you're like, oh, you're playing Guardian. I can just cover your on hits are irrelevant. Like you have one off turn ever, and then you're just buried beneath like ward permanents.
Yeah.
Like doesn't So
Alex, go on, finish up.
No. I was gonna say it is like all the illusionists have been like a very polarizing hero. Always a fan favorite regardless.
Anything, Alex, that you want to sort of? Have you been testing Nu, trying it out, or is it just like not for me?
Nu or Enigma?
Sorry, did I say Nu? Enigma.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I wish I would have gotten more testing against Enigma because there's very few players that are actually playing it right now, which makes me think that maybe it will surprise people when a good build shows itself.
Yeah.
So I do like her. I think, as Matt was saying, a bit less polarizing. Feels like even like she's polarizing as in she has some very strong matchups, but then even like the bad matchups aren't like unwinnable.
Yeah.
But there's still some of them are bad. Sadly. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think she can definitely beat any deck just because of the run away with the board factor. I feel like she has the biggest of these kind of factors out of all illusionists that I've seen. Because usually other illusionists take a while to set up. Sometimes she can set up immediately, and if you don't stop her, then it's over,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. George? Enigma? I mean, you're probably sitting there going, yeah, bring Enigma, man. I'm playing Zen. Oh, let's go.
Oh yeah, Enigma's amazing. Everyone should bring Enigma. But it's actually not that free for Zen. I'll be honest. The Enigma matchup. She's a very good hero. I've not tested her massively in depth against her. I've played a few games and I've seen people play them in the testing, and it has looked really impressive. But there's so much openness again for her that like everyone said, like I think things will catch off guard. It'll catch me off guard. I'll be honest, if an amazing deck comes out, because I haven't really prepped for Enigma much. We've seen sort of rough decks and we've played those and they look impressive, but they weren't ticking the boxes for me that I wanted to tick.
Sure. And then Nu, I can't really put my finger on Nu on where I want to, because maybe I could. I think she is, when she first sort of came out, she had this sort of wildly crazy on-hit effect, right? There you go. Oh, look, if you banish this, I'll just banish this card and I can look through your entire deck and get rid of this card and get rid of that card, and that weapon, the weapon just seems a little bit kind of crazy. And then you sort of reflect on it and go, yeah, but they're ones, and you need to keep a whole lot of cards in your hand to play this out, right? I think she's an assassin, that she needs to know who she's targeting. That's my opinion. Once she knows what she wants to sort of go and target for, then she can start giving that those sort of decks a bit of a problem. Now, don't get me wrong, assassins also don't like to see illusionists. Is my take wrong, George? Or is she actually a bit more flexible?
My opinion on you is it is the least fun I've had playing Flesh and Blood, playing against it.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
I hate it. I absolutely hate the concept of Nu. It's horrible to play against. It made me miserable. I've actually started refusing testing against it now because I hated it so much. It's annoyingly powerful.
Oh, right.
What it does.
Fair enough. Is there a legit hero to take to nationals?
Absolutely legitimate choice. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Go on, Alex. Expand. Is there anything? Is my take wrong? Is these ones kind of middling, or is those on hits kind of really more scary than you think?
Oh, she's very strong. I think for an assassin is very interesting because normally what we've seen from assassins is, yes, they have the ability to disrupt very effectively, but it's usually they have been able to disrupt heroes that are bad at defending or aren't able to put D-Reacts into their deck. With Nu, it doesn't really even matter if you're good or bad at defending. You're still gonna potentially get disrupted. If you are good at defending, you will also usually have your cards played against you. So she has that vector as well. So it's very hard to play around all of her things for both aggro decks and more defensive decks. Obviously, more like things like decks that basically, if you leave them alone, like illusionists, just run away with the game. Yes, she will not be able to do very well against them because at the end of the day, her damage output is it's not the greatest. I mean, it's okay, and it's not the greatest. So like those kind of decks will give her a lot of trouble. But if you don't expect that many of those heroes in your meta, then it might be quite a good choice.
Okay. Matt, closing thoughts on Nu? Fair enough.
No, I just
pull that face.
I think it has it's actually quite oppressive into a lot of decks in the format. It kind of has slowly been removing Guardian just because of how miserable it feels to have your own Guardian cards played against you and you can't really avoid blocking with them. I think it probably stands up there as maybe the frontline counter. If you're desperate to kill off Zen, then Nu kind of stands there as the first line of defense. If you know your room is just going to be all Zen, or at least you think all the top players. And I think that when it comes to in Flesh and Blood especially, more so than other games I've played. Like metagaming for what you expect to be like the top, 15% of the room, like top 15% of player skill in the room is actually really important.
Yeah.
Like if you go to a progress where there's 30 people and I've done this. I did this at UK Games Expo. I knew that there would be like 3 or 4 good players playing Kano in the room. And I was like, sweet, I'll play Prism. And I think that Nu does that into Zen, because if you want to win the tournament, then you're going to have to probably face those good players in the later stages of the tournament, and having a high win percentage there drastically improves your expectation of having a good result.
Cool. We're going to do
if you know that your room is going to be all Zen, Nu is certainly a good looking choice, I think. That's my opinion on Nu.
That's all good. Now, we're going to do this last little bit because I know that you guys have got to shoot off. Now, we're going to do this for both the US Nationals and the UK Nationals, right? Now, we saw the Germans do a extremely toxic and wonderfully amazing tier list of players, right? Now, we're not going to go for a tier list for everyone because we're picking these two countries with there's a lot of players, isn't it? So we're going to start off with you, Matt, because you're a man that likes to sort of slam out some wild shit from time to time. Tell me a final with 2 players that you think are going to win the whole thing, and what heroes do you think they're going to be? It's about as close as we're going to get. I can't do a tier list.
First one is Brody Spurlock.
Really? Is that an easy answer, or or do you think
Brody's?
He is insane.
I have infinite respect for Brody. That guy's so cool.
He is cool. I love the guy.
He's so cool. And so good at the game.
And who's he playing against?
He's playing Azalea.
Yeah, he's playing Azalea, right?
Like Azalea's, we haven't really spoken about Azalea in the CC portion, but also just a bonkers hero right now.
Oh yeah. There's a lot to unpack, so I'm just trying to be mindful of the time. So it's Brady Spurlock on Azalea.
He's playing against Michael Hamilton on Zen.
All right. Okay. There you go, George.
The American Nats.
The American Nats. We'll get to the UK one. The UK one's gonna be way more fun.
Okay.
You're not sure. You just say Brody Spurlock and Michael Fang. Yeah.
Michael Fang and Brody Spurlock.
There you go. On the same heroes.
They're both playing Azalea because I haven't much thought.
I said Michael Hamilton.
Oh, Michael Hamilton. Do apologise.
I like Michael Fang.
Oh,
I got a lot of respect for Michael Fang. He's a good lad. So
yeah. Alex.
Actually, he'd play Zen.
He'd play Zen. Yeah, maybe.
He'd play Zen.
Yeah, he maybe. Alex, US Nationals this weekend. Who's in the finals? What are they playing?
So I think one of the players, at least of them, should be someone from Runaways. They have been doing quite well recently.
Yeah.
And I played against a lot of their members in LA. And they usually have quite good meta reads. Which one of them will be? Well, let's say Cody.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Cody. So you think Cody's going to be in the final playing
against? Yeah, let's say Fang.
Okay. Brody didn't make it into the final.
I feel like it's about time we've had some of the same faces, because for the UK it's always the same people making the top 8s.
Oh, okay.
But for the US we haven't had that, or not as much of that. So
okay, I thought the US seems a little bit predictable.
And the actual heroes, I'm gonna say Zen and Kano.
Zen and Kano. All right, okay. Kano was someone that I did want to talk about in the mix, but he is quite another powerful hero as well. We haven't determined who a winner is yet, but there you go. You got your 2 guys here. All right, UK. Finalize it. Right, who's in the final of the UK? And you can, because you should, back yourself. Right. So Matt, who's in the final of the UK? I'm literally waiting for. I am going to be versing.
Yeah, me and Pete. So my opponent in the final will be Pete Ward.
Oh, okay.
I don't actually know if he's playing nationals. He keeps saying that he is, but he's in Vietnam and hasn't booked a flight home for it yet. So like, if he is there, it's me and Pete. That's who I'd say. I would back me and Pete in a tournament we've prepared for over anyone else in the UK.
And what heroes winning the finals? And this isn't some sort of mad psyops to find out what you're playing. Just
what heroes winning the finals? Zen.
All right.
Mirror.
Matt's on Zen, everyone. George, who's in the finals and what are they playing?
It's gonna be me and my boy Jacob Clement.
Okay.
He will pivot at the last second as is tradition. He normally pivots to something that either me or Jamie are on, so I reckon he will be on new.
Okay.
And then I will be on Prism.
You'll be on Prism. Oh, and who's winning? You.
Obviously me. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. I love these cop-out answers. Alex, who's in the final and what they playing?
So I have to go with Sammy, of course.
Sammy Braben,
because Kano has gotten a lot this format, and he's possibly the best Kano in the world, or if not, the top 5.
Right.
And obviously I have to go for another teammate, which would be Jason, because he is completely cracked at draft, so he's definitely at least making the top 8.
Okay.
But I think this will be a good breakout for him.
And what's he playing?
He's playing Leviah, let's say.
Leviah, right? Okay. And who's winning?
It's one of the heroes he's considering.
And who's winning? I'll go with Kano, maybe.
Sorry?
Who's winning what hero's winning the nationals?
Let's say Kano.
All right. Kano. Okay. Any honorable men? Give us 4 more names, Matt, because I love this. Honorable mention.
Sammy Braben was going to be my. I was thinking who am I naming as second?
Yeah.
And Sam would be right up there. He's not even been playing the game for that long. I think he wasn't when I was playing locals regularly in Bristol a couple of years ago. He wasn't playing then, and he's just got he's appeared in the last 2 years, and has done very, very well. Multiple progress wins, RTN wins, calling win, nationals top 8.
Yeah.
And all on a class that happens to be really strong right now. We haven't actually really mentioned Kano in the podcast, but it's scary.
Yeah.
It's also you also have to have a plan into Kano. And if you don't, you'll just get absolutely turbo rolled.
Yeah.
And the better the Kano players are, the scarier and scarier the deck gets. And Sammy is up there with the best of them.
Okay, cool. Anyone else, George? Honorable mentions. They may be getting into that top 8.
He's going to do really well. Who's going to get the top 8? My boy Dyson's been absolutely smashing the grind recently.
Yeah.
I hope he gets rewarded for it.
Yeah.
He's an old school player. He's been playing since the start, and he's still just been absolutely cracking on. So I really want to see him in the top 8. I think he could do it.
He had a close go, didn't he, in 2021? He had a very it was remarkably close, and he's
been working hard, and I'd like to see him get rewarded.
There we go. And Alex, any last honourable mentions of who is getting to this top 8? I love it. You're the only one that never said yourself.
Well, I'm gonna say myself first.
Oh, of course you're going to be in the top 8. Yeah. So any honourable mentions? That's not in Team Sigil. Of course you're going to say Team Sigil. Of course you're going to say
one that's not in.
Go on.
To think.
Who are these guys?
I'm not sure if he's even playing, but my friend Damon,
right?
He did quite well at the previous Nats. He was playing this, so I gotta go.
I'm rooting for Damon.
I gotta root for him.
Yeah, fair enough. I think I'm going to throw out some names in here as well. Right, I'm going to give out some ones that everyone should know. Right, I don't know whether they actually might make a top 8 because all of you have done incredibly well, and all of you have face planted. Right, I've seen it all. But I think it's an honourable mention to throw out Francesco. Like, that guy can come out of nowhere and just slap. You have mentioned Pete Ward. That guy can come out of nowhere and slap. I think Rob Catton can come out of nowhere and slap. I think Jamie Faulkner can also come out of nowhere and give a good slap in as well. I know.
A lot of slapping, apparently.
Yeah. Hey, look, that guy turned around. He was third on the first nationals he went to. He came second on the last one. Can he?
He's due. He's due
a win. And I don't know whether he's playing, but no doubt. Noah Hicks. I don't know if you've seen this guy.
Yeah, I literally thought about putting him in my list as well.
Noah Hicks. I don't know if he's playing, but this guy is like, this young lad just came out of nowhere. Another Kano menace. But he rocked up and just played KO at one event as well, and just like, I'll get into a top 8 with that. He is a dude that is coming out of nowhere that I could see performing incredibly well in the UK Nats. If he's playing,
he beat me
last
year at Nationals, actually.
Oh,
he beat me last year at Nationals.
Was it? Oh, it's right. So he could be. He actually can, if he is there.
I think he is. Actually, I feel like he is going to Nationals. I think he is.
Okay.
Last year at Nationals, I got a fun story. I managed to. Last year at Nationals, I raged a Reaping Blade in my aggro Briar deck, with the intention of displaying it every round by accident, to see if I could get my opponents to board for Fatigue Briar.
For God's sake, Matt!
And I did get Noah to play 67 cards into me.
The bait worked.
I still lost.
Oh, right.
I still lost. But that's easily worth the sideboard slot, if you ask me.
Fair enough. Oh, God. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Everybody, we've got the US Nationals coming up this weekend, and we have our 3 UK national champions giving their thoughts about the upcoming nationals that's happening on the 21st, which is the week after. Thank you so much. I'm wondering if we can get a 4th guy on here. It's going to be incredibly difficult for interviews going forward. If it's the same, if one of you can win it again, makes my life a bit easier for OBS. But
maybe you can win it.
Yeah, you can win it.
I'm bringing Viscerai. Yeah, let's go.
Your odds have gone down slightly.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, but we'll see. Next set. So, thank you so much, everybody. Check out the US Nationals, check out the UK Nationals, and as well, lots of other Nationals that's happening. And hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you, everyone. See you later.